the ego's greatest enemy is the present. So here's a solution here. Look, I told you about the ego and how to get rid of the ego. The ego's greatest enemy is the present. So why is that? The reason is because we're thinking of the past or the future. And I always love the expression, I'm either planning my past, you think about that, or I'm trying to resent the future, right? So, I mean, the whole thing is this. Look, the ego's greatest enemy is the present. So we're in the eternal present. You always like with meditation and being in the, you heard that, being in the present, that's the whole key here. When you're washing the dishes, wash the dishes. There's a lot to say about that. So that's the ego's greatest enemy. The ego is always, look, when you're upset, you're thinking of the past, you're thinking of the future, right? So being in the present moment is the ego's greatest, is against the ego. So we have all these defenses here and all these ways to the solution. But no, a lot of times I would go into me, I'll speak for myself and talk about the problem. The problem we know about. The problem is being in the past or it's being in the future, worrying, is the anxiety is the future and the past is, oh yeah, I know what the phrase was, regretting the future. We'll spend all day regretting the future. I just thought of that, yeah, or planning the past. So that's what we're doing. And it says here, the presence of the ego's greatest enemy. Look, you could be really upset and depressed right now. But look, this is what resolved it for me and what makes it 100% go away, or 50%, is that knowing it says here the true from the false. Knowing it's not true. You get depressed, it's not true because you're making all about you. And life, look, life in our creation and everything that happened isn't about us. We're not the center of the universe, although we like to think we are, because God gave us this intellect to think on a higher level, right? This higher consciousness, but we misuse it. It's to figure things out. Or again, I talk about with the fear. We should be fearful if somebody puts a gun to our head, but we use it. No, we use it, for everything in our lives. That's what we do. So, and to read on. Oh, and here's another. Ego is unawareness. It all says, look, I told you when we read the first one that the answer was there. But ego is unawareness. So if you right now believe what these statements say, ego is unawareness. Because when you're into the self, you're in self-centered fear. You're paralyzed by fear. You're not aware that you could go out and do things. You're walking out of the house, you're afraid of even the neighbor, you're afraid of somebody at work. But ego is unawareness. If you want to be happy, joyous, and free and be aware and have the whole universe at your command, to say when you surrender, the whole universe surrenders to you. If you want to do that, realize the truth in all of this. And again, during the day, if you feel that you're upset or things are bothering you, just go back to the reality of it. Yeah, feel the emotions. Actually, look, this is what we try to do. We try to resist it. Don't resist it. Don't try to change it. Trying is not the way we go with this. It is in doing. It's in understanding. It's in being honest. The one we lied to them, I always thought when people were dishonest, it meant they stole money. No, it was being dishonest with ourselves. Every day, every moment, we're lying to ourselves when we're depressed, anxious, or upset. We're saying that the we, me, I, my, is really the center of the universe. It's not. And it's just getting out of the self. That's that spiritual awakening. So here we go, another one. Oh, okay, here's one. Hey, we're talking about a lot of times about food here. Here, this one is directly related to what we're talking about here. Trust in God. This will bring nourishment. We had, I think, the last meeting, or meeting before that, we talked about the meeting before that, spiritual bread, right? That was a top title of the meeting, spiritual bread. So if we eat everything spiritual in life and enjoyment, then when the material, right, material comes along, which is the big lie, all these material things. I'm not saying not to go out and enjoy life. Go out and enjoy life, but understand it's not about that. That's pleasure. Pleasure. Pleasure is momentary. Again, my example of the man who climbs Mount Everest, right? From momentary pleasure. That's all he gets out of it. He spends all those years, all that money, maims himself, gets frostbite, gets on top of the mountain. Not only that, he's happy for a minute, then he goes home and he's thinking about, the next mountain he has to climb. Or he heard that on the radio or TV that some other guy on the internet, some other guy climbed the mountain 7 times. So he's got to go back, So the real joy and happiness is being centered and it's from within, not from these things outside. Here's one. Okay, look, here's one for people who come on to these meetings. They say, look, I can't get this whole God concept of anything, and I don't understand when we talk about a higher power, a higher consciousness. What are people talking about? But it says here, fear, worry, and anxiety are a false god. So if you want to say to me you don't want to have faith, if you're depressed and upset, you have faith, all right? You have faith. You have faith in yourself and the ego. So don't say you don't have faith. Okay, you do. And also material things, and people have faith in success or power over people. So it's for them to say they don't have faith, but they don't have the righteous faith of our higher consciousness, what we created to have. It wasn't for these material outs. The source is here, and we look for it all around us on the outside. That's the falseness. That's why, we were lucky, and we were in the animal kingdom. We were created with this intelligence, the ability to think. But like all good things in life, when people have really good things, they misuse them. We misuse it to worry about what people say. Self will run riot. We use our ego for that reason. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is it here. Then we can end the meeting. Here it goes. Bliss and ecstasy are our natural state. Now, do you believe that? Do you believe that? That your natural state, most people don't believe that. You hear people talk, even like the analysts from way back, they wrote things about, man is destined to have depression and be upset. No, we were created to be happy and joyful in the way we know that. Here's how we know it. And I use the example of the little child. A child is always, he's happy and is in the present, right? Do you remember that? But no, we took it upon ourselves. We had to control the world. And that's where all the trying to control everything, all the depression, anxiety. So bliss and ecstasy are our natural state. And again, the example I use is a puppy dog. Look, a puppy dog doesn't have that ability like God gave us to think on an intellectual level, right? A higher form of thinking, right? So they're happy every day, right? So that's where the problem is. We just resolved where the problem is. It has to do with, I always say, my problem is Bob. So when my first thought during the day, I told you a guy came up, he stood up at a meeting, he said, I have my first thought of the day, I don't believe that. And my second thought, I don't believe that. It's that stinking thinking, right? That stinking thinking.